Uh, I'm live on YouTube too. Okay, great. Now, again, trying to meet y'all where you are. I know you guys people on Instagram, people on Facebook, some folks live on YouTube. I want to gear it for the YouTube listeners as well. Um, so I'm doing my, due diligence in this whole social media space with my intention of being as accessible as possible. So that's what I'm up to right now. So if you live on Instagram, if you live on Facebook, if you live on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Just let me know you're in the house. Um, I will be bringing in my guest shortly. So just hold on, Miss Aisha. Aisha. It's like Aisha. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young lady. So she's going to give us a little bit of insight on what this whole readiness piece is about and what it takes to get to, to move beyond that point because, you get to that point, you're ready. It's like, I got to do this. My life needs to change. I got to improve some things, and let me find out what I need to do. Then you find out what you need to do. And it's like, okay, I got to do all of this stuff. My life is going on. When can I fit this in? You know, um, so these are the things that we struggle and juggle and wind up kind of stepping on a banana peel and slipping. So what I've realized as a holistic health consultant is that no matter how much I want for people to actually do what it is that they want to do and get this movement going that they want to get going. There she is. Miss Aisha, breath master. Yeah. So yeah, she's nervous. Anyway, don't be nervous. Look, you got my screen over here jumping and what have you. Don't be putting your nerves all up in the ether and stuff. This is the first time I've seen the screen jump. Okay. So what I want you to do is we're gonna stop and pause right now for the calls, y'all. And the calls is getting us in the space of readiness. So, in order to link all of us up and get all of us in the calm space, what I would like to do is for everybody to flow with me with this breath. This is the breath master technique. I am the breath master, right? Came up with this technique. So, here we go. So, I want you to take the tip of your tongue, the very tip, place it to the roof of your mouth, and slide it back along that thin, narrow palate down the middle of the roof of the mouth. Keep your mouth closed and inhale slowly, slowly, slowly. Just sip air through the nostrils. Now that your lungs are full, open your mouth to a full oval and exhale and make the ha sound. So nice and slowly, softly. Let's do that one more time. Tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth, curl it back. Inhale slowly. Release the tongue, drop the jaw, open the mouth, full oval. Yes, this is how we begin. And this is what I've come to realize is that even if a person isn't ready, they're breathing. So that's one thing we all have in common until we stop, of course. So with that, to make everything simple, because y'all know I'm a simple guy, and I also like to make things simple so that we don't have all of these moving parts and life is so hectic and all of this stuff. I want everybody to be in a space of ease rather than dis-ease. So to make it simple, we take advantage of the breath. That's the first thing, and that helps you to get ready. That it kind of levels you out. It harmonizes your energy because if you have all of this angst about your body, you know, your self image, your self esteem, you know, and you had butterflies in your stomach every time you think about going out the door, or you know, you look in the mirror and it's like, oh my God, you're in here, you're in here. So the way to get out of here is simply to breathe. The nature of breath work is this: we breathe into our body, which gets us out of our mind and into our spirit. And then we let our spirit come forth and move us to where it is that we want to go. Because I don't care what kind of work you're doing, your spirit is attached. So it is spirit work. And you know, they talk about shadow work, they talk about light work. It's all spirit work. So you want to enliven and advance your spirit into the space. And the way you do that is simply by taking a nice, slow, deep inhalation. And the breath master technique allows for that. Now, Miss Aisha, I taught her this breath, what, how many years ago?
20, 21
No.
years ago, 2013,
Yeah,
2014.
yeah, yeah. Around 2013, that's when I first met her up at Dynamic Wellness with brother Nate, Baba
Yeah,
Nate.
with Mr. Nate.
Yes, yes, yes. So she has attended a number of my functions through the years because she lives in the DMV, and she just loves coming to listen to me
I do.
talk. And I like to hear her, and you all are going to get to hear her because I got a question for you. Way back then, when you met me, you had intentions of doing some things, right?
Yes.
And through the course of all of those years, you've been trying and trying and trying, right? Yep. Now,
Yep.
even though you learned this technique right way back then, and I'm assuming it helped you, you didn't move but so far, right? Yeah.
Only
So
so far. I got past that healing stage that I need to. You remember how I came to you? I
yeah,
was very ill.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So
So,
talk about that a little
yeah.
bit, a little bit.
Okay. So, I was going through a tumultuous change in my life. Those that know me well, know me personally, know what I'm talking about. It was the ending of my marriage. I was stressed. I was stressed out. It was a stressful time, stressful period in my life. And um, I came to you, and I was malnourished, pretty small. I was pretty small then. I wasn't heavy as like I am now. Not as heavy as I am now, but um, I was at high. It was crazy, and we talked for like hours, hours, hours that day, and I was skeptical because I really didn't. I really didn't know if this was going to work. Like I was going to allopathic doctors, and nobody could figure out what to do. And then I got your book. This book is excellent, and it has recipes. And I would add all those crazy ingredients like cactus flour and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I started reading, and I started moving more. And subsequently, I started to heal. Once I got better, like most people do, I stopped it and went back to what I was doing before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've jumped in and out, moved out of state, came back, that sort of thing. So what really ignited everything was the pandemic started. What really ignited me to get back on track. Um, I suffered a major loss a few years after that with my mom passing, and
God rest his soul.
yeah, so it was really, I just gave up on stuff. And normal, that's a major loss, especially if you have a good relationship with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And to unhealthy habits again. And again, I found myself being sick again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I went to your CMOS class, and I've been taking you. You introduced me to CMOS back in 2014. So
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic Wellness sold it and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started. I was on CMOS regular anyway. then I stopped taking it. But
Mm-hmm.
it did so many things that helped. And I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could find that recipe. It's in this book. And it was some strange ingredient. Like I didn't know where to find some of this stuff. Then they were like, "Oh, go to the international food store." Then I'm driving to
Exactly.
Virginia, the H Mart. Then I'm going to here to get. It was crazy, but it healed me. I
Mm-hmm.
took that shake, and I did it every day, and I started to notice a difference probably within 2 to 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Let me
Two to three
interject.
days, I was amazed.
Yeah, let me interject
Mm,
now, if I may. Now, she just explained a large part of her journey. Now, she truncated a whole lot of stuff because we're talking about nearly a decade of her life. And, like a lot of people,
mhm.
you go and you get some information and advice and you put it to work and you use it and it helps you and what have you. And then you kind of, it becomes normal, you relax and what have you. And, the other old habits kind of filter back in. Some people, this happens to some of them, they just go right back as soon as they feel like, hey, I lost 5 pounds. That was my goal. Let me go back and eat the garbage now.
Go back.
You know,
Exactly. Yep.
so, it's a roller coaster ride if you do it that way. But then,
Yes.
once you
And that's
realize that you have a resource, like Aisha, once you realize that we have a resource, you know that you can go back to that resource. She held up my book. I wrote that book in 2010. She's had that book since then. That's a resource that she literally has at her fingertips, which you can get that from me. Just DM me and what have you, and I'll hook up with you and send you a copy. You can get it on Amazon,
excellent
you
book.
know, Barnes and
Mm-hmm.
Noble online, wherever, So, along with the book, she has access to me. And I'm going to let you all know online right here, right now, you have access to me. I am your resource. I'm here for you, just like I've been here for Aisha for all of these years. I can't force anybody to do anything, but hey, I know everybody is walking their own path and they're going through their own journey, and they have to go through what they have to go through because your experiences shape and mold you for the work that you are to do, not only for self, but for humanity and for the planet. And
Exactly.
so she came back around several times, as she went through her ebbs and flows of her life. And the CMOS workshop that she spoke of, I did that with my wife, Trina,
His
down
wife.
at
Mm-hmm.
in Waldorf at
Waldorf.
uh, at the Essence of Energy Wellness Center and Movement Studio. Pardon me, Carlise, if I don't get it exactly right. But she came to that event and I shared how to make CMOS, the gel so that you can put it in whatever. And I showed how to put it in some things, smoothies and so on. And the smoothie that she actually mentioned was a smoothie that I created for my dad back in 2009. And it had in it the four major ingredients, four major food slash herb ingredients that help to deal with diabetes, that help to normalize your blood sugar, normalize your blood pressure, and helps to hydrate this on a cellular level, so the blood pressure becomes normalized, so that the vessels can expand and contract like they're supposed to. And that's one simple drink. And then you add in along with those four ingredients, which are, let me say it now, you can write it down if you want to, somebody can put it in the chat line if they
Okay.
like.
I can pen it. Go ahead.
Cactus leaf, nopal cactus leaf, Nopal, see a cactus leaf. Bitter melon, the disease is called
Mm-hmm.
sugar, that's its colloquial name. So opposite of sugar, bitter. Opposite of sweet, bitter. Counterbalances and what have you. Then there is cinnamon. You all know of cinnamon. And
Mm-hmm.
one that a lot of people don't realize, string beans. And the reason why string beans is what I learned some years ago is that on a chemical level, the juice of the spring bean is almost identical to insulin. And now
Yes.
I'm going to caution you, if you start using this, be sure, be sure that you're monitoring your blood sugar level if you're diabetic, because it's going to cause it to normalize. So it's going to bring it back in the normal range. And if you continue to taking your medication to bring it down and it's already normal, then you could be in trouble. So be very, 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 very
Mm-hmm.
careful and monitor that thing closely, because we are talking about your life. You're talking about your body. which houses you. So we want to be mindful of that as we use these tools and what have you. Anytime your body's healing, the things that allopathic medicine provides, which is why they caution you when you're using any type of herbal medicine, and they also want to they tell you, let's see if it's counter indicative of what it is that we're giving you. They want to make sure that in this balancing act between the chemicals that they create and the chemicals that are in the plants and the herbs and what have you are going to be in harmony. So as you increase one, you may have to decrease the other. And this is how people, quote unquote, get off of medication, by having their body come back into homeostasis, using natural measures and what have you, using the breath, which also can help to balance your blood sugar. And, not blood, excuse me, also balances your blood pressure. And it aids the balancing of the blood sugar because of the fact that it oxygenates your body. If we don't have enough oxygen in your body, everything is going to be stressed. And stress exacerbates all of your issues.
Mm-hmm.
So once you de-stress, you're going to bring down those numbers. And so that's how the breath helps with this. And then there's exercise. The young sister told me the other day, I'm good now. I lost 40 pounds. I'm like, whoa. That's the first time she ever said that in all the decade, almost a near decade that I've known her. Then she told me she's working with a personal trainer. Kudos to whoever that person is, because obviously they are inspiring, because they got her off the bench, y'all. She in the game now. So talk about that exercise piece, if you will.
Yes. So I've been trying different things. Throughout the years, I was pretty active. Up until I was pretty active even then when I met you, going to spin class, lifting weights. I always aspired to be a runner, and I've been asking people recently become or how to start. But I don't, I need to build endurance first. So the exercise piece, I've been starting slow. I've been doing it at home by myself. I have my little Pilates bar, and then I started going to regular Pilates class. And then I went to a weeks ago. So consistently, I've been working out for the last 4 to 6 weeks, doing different things. But working with the trainer, and I want to shout her out, but I can't remember her Instagram name, escapes me right now. She's excellent. She is getting me on track. I kind of skipped this week because I was, but I'm back. I've been doing my things at home. I've been jumping rope. I've been walking. Walking is the easiest and most free thing that you can do to lose weight.
Yep.
There was a point where I was very, very heavy, and all I could do was walk. That was everything else hurt. And so I walk after work to de-stress. Instead of having wine, instead of having something else, whatever you want to, whatever you do to relieve stress, I go for a walk after work. I don't want to half the time, but I do it because I want to live a long, healthy. I want to have so the exercise piece has played a big component in not only bringing down. I don't have diabetes, but my blood is elevated because I do suffer from chronic stress sometimes. At times, I suffer from chronic stress. So that's my next thing that I'm tackling is my blood pressure. The weight, honestly, I don't even care. When you met me, I had just turned 30, 31. I was around that age. So it's been almost 10 years. So you know what a milestone I'm about to hit. And
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very happy. So I am, I want to live long. I watched my mom suffer sadly, and I want to live a long, long life. And I think that everybody should strive for that, really well. And and without that exercise piece, the exercise component, not only am I getting the benefit of it from a physical standpoint, but mentally, mentally my clarity is there. I'm sharper. I'm more calm. I'm not jumping off the handle because I'm all over the place. I'm an air sign. If you are big into astrology like I am, I'm an air sign, double air sign, mostly air and fire in my chart, and I'm all over the place. So
yeah.
I need that, and it's been balancing me out so much.
Fantastic.
been balancing me out
Fantastic.
so much.
So
Yes.
I have a mantra, and it came to me through a realization. I had a speaking engagement, of course, and I was walking, and I was like trying to figure out how I'm gonna present because I'm very organic. I don't show up with a pen and a pad or a bunch of note cards and what have you, because I know what I know, and I feel the crowd and what have you, and whatever is appropriate, that's what flows through me, because I'm here as a conduit more than anything. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff in here, but there's when you're open, especially when you're in the space of teaching and what have you, you get these downloads and stuff comes out of your mouth that you might have to stop and take notes from. Um, so I was on the way to this event and I was, figuring out some stuff, and I was like, I got to tell them they got to keep moving. I got to take the body basically is a perpetual motion machine. Anytime, even when you're sitting still, there's stuff going on inside you, so it's perpetually moving, and it's like a machine. So I'm like, okay, so the body's a perpetual motion machine. Let me hit them with that. And then I was like, and you got to keep it moving, in order for you to keep going and keep flowing and what have you. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a little rap. So repeat after me. Everybody, y'all listen. Y'all, I can't hear y'all, but y'all can hear yourself. Repeat after me. The body is a perpetual motion machine. You too.
Body is a perpetual motion machine.
Yes. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
Keep it flowing.
Keep it flowing.
So.
And that's what that's about.
Yeah. So when I got to the event and I was doing my little talk and whatever, somewhere in the middle, because I had a lot of young folks and what have you, and rap is like the thing forever, So anyway, I told them, I hit them with that, the body's a perpetual motion machine. Keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. I had them repeat and repeat and repeat. The body's a perpetual motion machine. Keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. Because that's basically what you got to do. You got to keep this mechanism moving in order for you to keep going and keep flowing. Now, she talked about a long life. Even if you don't want to live a long life, you don't want to suffer. And so what I'm going to talk about is quality of life. When you got these diseases, these various diseases, all of these things, your body is not at ease. Your body's designed to be at ease. So you want to use whatever measure it takes in order for you to get to the point of ease in your life, in your body, through your experience in your body. So with that, you got to keep it moving. She mentioned walking, and thank you for that. That is the quintessential ultimate exercise. Second in line only to breathing.
Yes.
Because walking, it gets all your mechanisms, your arms are moving, your chest is, inhaling, your chest is expanding and contracting, your abs is working and what have you. You might even get a little sweat in, and when you walk, make sure you bend your knees. Some people may, lean from side to side and swing their leg forward and just rock. Some people may just, lift a little bit and swing the leg forward and what have you, instead of bending their knees. But bend your knees, because the more you bend your knees, the more you're going to engage the abdominal, your core. Just that simple thing of bending your knees a little more. Somebody pointed out to me many, many years ago that Dennis Rodman, when he was running from one end of the court to the other, he got his knees up really high. And that was something that kept him in shape. And when you look at track and field athletes and so on, when they're really running, especially like hurdlers and whatever, they're getting, and triple jumpers, they're getting that knee up really high. Your pole vaulters and all that stuff. You see these people, they're getting that knee up really high in order to just give them more momentum. And it gives you more momentum towards better health. So simple things. Now, you don't know this, Aisha, but when I put that picture, that little advert about this event up on Facebook and Instagram, I went to your page and I pulled some things off of your page. I pulled that image off of your page of you. I also pulled that image of the sea moss off of your page. And
that was my picture. I was like, oh, okay.
And the image in the upper right corner of the zucchini and the avocado and other stuff that you had. You were getting ready to prepare some dish or whatever, so you had your ingredients and what have you, getting ready to chop or whatever. I was like, yeah, let me pull this in, because people need to understand the quality of what you put in your body determines the quality of experience that you have in life. Quality of life.
That's true.
Quality ingredients, quality life.
Right.
Just that
And
simple.
also cooking for yourself too. That's very important.
Yes, thank you for
That's
that.
something I really I struggle with that. But I when you're eating fast food, eating processed foods, eating stuff like that,
Hmm.
more than not, more likely than not, people really are happy with what they're doing. That it comes up in the food. So
Hmm.
not only are you eating really not good quality food, it's not food. You're taking on that
It's
energy
stuff.
component of it.
Yeah,
The stuff you're taking on
yeah,
their stuff. You're
yeah.
taking up their breakup that day. You take it on. You take it on. They, you're taking on. So
Hmm.
that's why you should prepare your own food as much as you can.
Yeah,
As much as you can.
yeah.
I'm not. When you met me, I was a vegan. I was a very strict vegan back then. I'm no longer a vegan. I eat primarily vegan, but for the most part, I mean, I eat primarily plant based because I don't consume like soy or anything like that
Hmm.
either because that's no. And it's soy in every single thing that we eat. Every soy is really bad for you. So that's a whole nother aspect that I won't touch on.
Yeah, that's another
But
lecture right there.
I attribute. Yes, I know. Let me not get on my soapbox, but I do want to say this. I really attribute to breathing, deep breathing, deep. You taught me how to breathe. And I'm doing this technique. I'm doing this therapeutic technique called EDMR. It's a therapy technique, and it really focuses on diaphragmatic breathing.
Hmm.
So not only is it am I hitting I'm breathing properly, and I'm working out things
Hmm.
that need to be moved from the body,
Yes.
traumatic events, all different types of stuff. And I'm telling you, breath, the breath, as long as you have breath,
Yeah.
you have options. That is the hood healer. She always says that. I want to give her a shout out to that for that saying that.
The hood healer. Okay.
You gotta breathe. You gotta breathe. You
Yeah.
have to breathe.
Now, a quick note on that, and y'all who have been listening to me for years, and even briefly, I mentioned the fact that your organs house the energy for emotions, all of your emotions. So, you know, that the heart pumps blood, that the lungs pumps oxygen, but it's not typically known that your abdomen, your stomach, your abdominal muscles, as well as your diaphragm and your ribs, are the pump for your organs, and therefore they're the pump for your emotions. Because when you take a full deep breath and the diaphragm presses down on the organs between it and the pelvic floor, and you continue that full exhalation like we did with the breath master technique, with that has the cleansing breath as a component, it pushes all of these things out of the recesses of the body. It squeezes and massages those organs, so you wind up actually massaging the organs, and since they have emotions attached, you wind up giving yourself an emotional massage. And this is how you help yourself stay in that ready mode. Because if you're trapped in the trying and I gotta do and I gotta do, but I can't get up, then you're not getting enough oxygen, because that oxygen is going to, in those deep breaths and getting more oxygen, you're going to squeeze out those toxins, and also you're going to squeeze out a lot of those toxic thoughts and that come with those emotional states that are encumbered by shallow breathing. Now you mentioned something just now also about what it is that you put in your body, and I have another young lady. I'm hoping that I can feature her sometime soon. Online, she's known as Fatima the Writer, and she's an educator, school teacher out in Montgomery County in Maryland. And when she met me, I think it was 2010, right before I started marketing my book. Maybe 2011, somewhere in 2010, 2011. But anyway, I invited her to participate in a couple of exercise classes I was doing as because I was developing some stuff and what have you. And I just become, well, I was in my third year as a health consultant. I had a couple of people that I was doing protocols for. And I asked her to come over and participate. And she did. And she was one of those naysayers, like, I don't believe in all this stuff. She asked the other person, you believe this stuff you're talking about? I don't know if we're going to where I am. So, and she wasn't a customer. She was a good friend. And I had a conversation with her. And this is how amazing it is that you don't know what is going to trigger a change in a person. That's why it's good to give, to just be open and especially be clear with what it is that you present. So in a conversation that I had with her, I was like, and this is one of those things that flowed through me in the moment. I said, you know what? I said, you can talk about you don't like this, you don't like that, you don't like this, and you like that. As far as food, the things that I may suggest, I said, but all you got to change is just a couple of things. I said, because most people are having only 3 to 5 different meals on a regular basis. And most people, they're eating the same thing for their life,
Oh, wow.
All my people of
I
color,
didn't realize that.
all my people of color, I don't care what island, what country, what continent you're from, you eating rice and beans and chicken. Hey, look, you eating
Right.
rice and beans and chicken. It might be
Beans and
sauteed,
chicken.
it might be fricasseed, it might be smothered in gravy, it might be dirty rice, it might have, it might be, lima beans and this and that, but you eating rice and beans and chicken. And if you live in
That's true.
and if you live in the Western countries with the fast food culture, you're eating burgers, fries, and pizza with a big soda on the side, whether it's called a
Diet
slushy,
soda.
yeah, whether it's called a slushy or a big gulp or whatever, whether it's called a deep dish or pepperoni or cheese pizza or whatever, whether it's called a cheeseburger, a Happy Meal, a Whopper or whatever, whether it's you know the white potatoes, whether it's fried or the mashed or whatever, and if you getting this is something here right here that a lot of people don't realize. What keeps fries white is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is basically what they pickle bodies with for preserving bodies for experiments. So if you
What?
yeah, if you've gone through high school and you had to do this, the dissecting of an animal and what have you, and they had it in this jar.
Yeah.
Basically, the only other thing you see in a jar besides these animals is pickles, right? So
Yeah.
basically, this animal was pickled, and what they use to pickle it is the chemical formaldehyde. And what they do, since it's a preservative, they use it as a food preservative for French fries. Because when you cut a potato, it's going to start to it's going to have this
Okay.
inky black appearance if you just let it sit. It's the stuff that oozes out, changes color, it oxidizes and what have you. But to keep it nice and white, they will bathe it in formaldehyde, then freeze it, and then when it'll dip it in the grease and fry it up for you when you come to, get your meal that's not going to make you happy. Anyway,
Oh.
so these are things that you need to be mindful of. So when I shared with Fatima, excuse me, when I shared with her that you're just eating several, basic meals and what have you. So you just change a few things. That was the one thing that stuck. Out of all of the stuff that she didn't particularly care to hear, exercise, move, eat this, eat that, when I said that, that registered. So she started looking at what it was that she was putting in her body. And she was eating a diet because she was dying from what she was eating. She she realized that her diet consisted of whatever was in that little hot box in the 7-Eleven, whether it was a hot dog, whether it was a donut or a Danish or pizza, and of course the coffee. She that was what she ate. She didn't prepare hardly anything at home, you know.
Mhm.
So these are the little simple things, and like you said, preparing your food at home Because when you're at home, guess who's in control? You are.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
everything full of so all kinds of craziness.
mhm.
So yeah.
So let me say this about even when you're at home, what you eat at home. If you don't bring it in the house and you don't put it in the fridge, you don't put it in the cabinet, you're not going to have access to it. You're not going to eat it. So what
Okay.
you put in your refrigerator, what you put in your cabinet will determine what you put on the stove, or if raw or whatever, what you put on your plate in the end. So if you bringing in fresh produce, fresh veggies, root vegetables, nice green, beautiful leaves, different types of colorful fruit and berries and all of this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're going to put in your body. So you want the stuff that you put in your body, you want it, when you look at it, you want it to be appealing to the eye. You want that colorful, that rich vibrancy that comes with the color of a mango. I mean, you think about a mango, especially one of those, that's got the green and the red and the yellow skin. Then you peel it, it's got the nice orange
Yes.
flesh and what have you. And you bite into it, and the juice runs all over the place and what have you. Yeah, I'm painting a picture. I want you to get into this because mangoes are like that. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
they are one of the most nutritious fruit that you can have. So, these are the things that we have to be mindful of and fully aware of. And so, as you move through this process, be mindful when you go to the store. Now, the book that she mentioned, my book is entitled The Obesity Myth, because nobody want to believe that, it ain't that, and I don't want you to believe that about yourself, because if it makes you feel bad, I don't want you to feel that. So the subtitle is You're Not Overweight, You're Overwaste. And that is more than a play on words. That is a mental shift. Because when you realize that the issue isn't the weight, because when you think about weight, it literally weighs on you. Just that word, how much do you weigh? You know,
Yeah.
I need to lose this weight. And the more you say weight, 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 the heavier it feels in your spirit. But when you realize that it's not the weight in my body, it's the waste, the accumulation of waste that is causing me issues. So when you think about waste and you think about taking out the trash and what have you, you realize that food basically does that. All of the garbage that's trapped in your body, that mango will help get a lot of it out. That cabbage will help get a lot of it out. You know, um, I like to
Yeah.
keep a narrow frame because, like I said, most people are eating several different items and what have you, especially if you come from a cultural bent. Like if you're Italian, you gonna eat some pasta. You got your pasta sauce. You got all the different kinds of pastas. All of them have Italian names: spaghetti, linguine. All of that, all of that stuff. Which that's that white processed starch. No, not to knock anybody's diet or anybody's culture, but people are typically eating the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So if it's going to add an ounce to you today, by the time you eat that meal 16 times, that's a pound. You eat it 160 times, that's 10 pounds. You know, if you're not moving and breathing and what have you, and clearing things out. Let me say also
No.
that I'm
And
not trying to beat anybody up. Now I have certain guiding principles. Now, the changing what it is that you're eating and realizing that you have a narrow framework for your food intake anyway, and then just tweaking it a little bit. Instead of the burger and fries, salad and soups and salad, and a salad sandwich. You can put um, a whole lot of vegetables on a sandwich. Say if you got a burger, right? If you have a burger, you can stack so much veggies on there that that burger can go from like this with just a piece of meat to like this with a whole lot of veggies. Now those veggies are going to help that meat move through your body. So the thing also you want to do is you want to make sure that as you put things in your body, they're moving out in a timely fashion. Your body is designed to process whatever comes through it, to it, including your thoughts, emotions, sights, and tastes, and whatever, and things that you eat. So you want to be fully aware of that and use those food tools to move things out of your body. That's what the vegetables do. Now, I do several things. I do sprouts, phenomenal, phenomenal. A lot of energy, a lot of nutrients in a small condensed um, plant. Because you can eat 1,000 plants if you're eating sprouts. That's a lie.
Well,
And I do a pumpkin stew, a Caribbean slash
oh
African
yes,
type stew,
that's my favorite.
which it's got a lot of root veggies. And they call it ground provisions because it's like what's right on the surface of the ground and what's right below the surface of the ground. So you got your pumpkins or your different squash and whatever, and your different roots and
And
what
would
have you.
they be considered nightshade veggies? Would they,
Night
are those
nightshade.
nightshade?
No, this
Oh, no.
nightshade isn't that numerous. Your white potatoes are nightshade.
Okay,
Your tomatoes are
gotcha.
nightshade. Some of your peppers are nightshade.
Shade.
Yeah. Now,
Okay, got it. Okay.
nightshades are relative as far as how you do it. Anything. Let me say this about that. Anything in excess is going to cause you to reach a threshold. Excess basically means you're accumulating to the point where it's going to reach a tipping point, and you're going to get to the other side of that
Hmm.
tipping point, which is where your body can't tolerate it anymore. So nightshades are in the category of things that the tipping point is low. So the threshold is low. So you don't
Hmm.
want to consume a lot of those things, because I'm not going to
No.
tell anybody to stop eating tomatoes. I'm not going to stop eating tomatoes.
No.
You know,
Hmm.
white potatoes, I don't hardly eat white potatoes. Matter of fact, I practically never do. I just had some the other day because I bought a bag of them so that I can use it in my indigenous microorganism scenario that I'm going to do for my garden. That's a whole nother thing. I just came from the garden. Matter of fact, I started planting today outside. That is, that's the other thing. Along with preparing your food, you want to grow your food, and there's so many different
Hmm.
pieces online that will show you how to grow your own food. Excuse me 1 second. I do something here. I just realized that I don't have to let this uh, Facebook people fade out on me because I can plug this in. Battery's running low over here. Let me get this in. Hold on, hold on. So Aisha, do you grow your own food?
Yes, sir. I do not. I don't. That's my next project. I'm looking at my area. I have the seeds. I have seeds.
Yep.
Um, I started growing lemon balm, stuff like that in the house, but I
Okay.
do not grow my own food. And I
Fantastic.
need to, but
Fantastic.
I am intimidated by it.
Okay. That's
But I'm
fair.
going to do
I
it.
get it. I
I
get
know
it.
I'm going to do it.
And see, this is what happens when you take people out of the country. You live in a concrete environment. You don't have, only nature you have is, the park and what have you, and the trees align the street and what have you.
Hmm.
You don't have, yard space and gardening and all that stuff, which you're talking about a major difference. If that's what how you've been acculturated, as most people in modern times have been, then it's far and away from your way, and it's, as they say, out of the way. But it's not that hard.
Hmm.
Now, I'm gonna say this: if you got beans, not canned, you got dry beans. If you soak dry beans, a lot of people don't realize every bean is a seed. You can soak those beans, and you're gonna put some of them in a pot. Take 4 or 5 of them and put them in some soil. You can get a cup
Hmm.
and you can scoop up some dirt on the way home. Some people don't like the word dirt. I don't. Hey, it know what it is. It know what it's supposed to do. When I you put a seed in soil, in earth, that's really what it is. It's earth. When you put a seed in earth, whether it's
Hmm.
in the ground earth or in a cup earth or in a bucket or a pot or whatever, it's going to grow. However, you don't even need the soil because the way you grow sprouts is you take a bunch of seeds. Now, I like lentils, mung bean, um, chickpeas, mustard seed, and fennel seed. Those are the main things that I like to sprout. I'm not big on all of the grass, the lemongrass and all. I mean, not lemongrass, but the wheatgrass and barley grass and all that. I have done that stuff and with the juicing and all that stuff. But as far as sprouting and getting an ample amount of nutrients, you can take those things. Those are small beans, small seeds, and you can soak them in water. And after 8 hours, you rinse them and you keep them in that jar and you just keep rinsing, keep rinsing, keep rinsing. I've shown some of that on some of my social media posts, and I'll do more. So in a jar, literally in a jar, a 16-ounce jar, a mayonnaise jar, whatever, you can grow lots of plants. You can grow more plants now in that with all of these little seeds, because you're not going to let them grow to full size and whatever. You can grow more plants in that jar than most people are going to grow in their garden. Because if you got a jar and you got several hundred seeds in there, there's several hundred plants. Most people aren't going to grow several hundred plants in a season. But each time you do that in a jar, you've got several hundred plants. By the time you've grown, 10 jars, you probably somewhere over 10, 15,000 plants, maybe even 100,000 by the time you've grown that many. When I grow, I'll take a 16-ounce jar, I'll fill it up almost halfway, and then I'll add water and I'll hydrate that and stuff. Then once those things start to grow, I'll transfer it to not a quart jar, but a half-gallon jar. And I'll rinse it, drain it, and I'll turn it on its side and let them just grow and do their thing. And I can eat off of that for days. So these are things that you can do that will enhance your health and well-being. Plus, when you look at it, you see all of the vibrancy of these little plants and what have you, just coming up and just doing their thing. And you pull some of them out to eat today, and then you rinse the rest and you leave it sit outside at room temperature. And when you come back the next day, it's like you haven't even touched it, because all of the plants that are remaining have grown and filled the space of the plants that you've removed. It's such a beautiful thing. Growing food, growing plants. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And what it does for your energy and your life force, it's amazing. That's part of that whole quality of life and what have you, and the quality of food, because you are in control of what it is that you're putting in your body now. And you're putting in way
that vibration of love in your food.
Exactly. And when you do that, you want to use spring water, distilled water, something like that. And you want to add, what I do is I use Himalayan pink salt, right? And I also use kelp in my soups and what have you. You can take a little piece of that kelp, or just not even a pinch of that sea salt, put it in the water when you first put those those seeds in there. So when those minerals from the salt or from the seaweed gets into the water, now those plants are going to uptake that water as they hydrate and expand. They're bringing minerals into it. So you're actually fertilizing those seedlings and making them more nutritious, because now they have greater mineral content. So there's simple ways that you can have such a dynamic food intake that will move the needle further and further toward a high quality health, because you're a high quality life, because you're giving yourself high quality food and fuel. And in my book, I say this: you're either eating food or you're eating stuff. And so food, there's an acronym that I created. What food does: food fuels and oxygenates optimally daily. Because if you're eating daily, and if you're eating food, it's going to keep you going. It's going to keep you vibrant, But the other thing is this: stuff. So those are the two things: food versus stuff. What happens when you eat stuff? You feel stuff. You know how you either eat too much. You can even eat too much food in one setting. But if you eat the wrong thing, you're going to get this bloating and what have you. You're going to, and a lot of people, they don't know how to stop. I used to know a guy who used to say, you don't stop eating just because you're full. Whoa.
Mm-mm.
So,
we
and God bless him, Mr. Burnett, God rest his soul. This was decades ago. Um, so when you're putting these things in your body that aren't fueling it, that aren't oxygenating it, live food that got oxygen in it, um, that's not going to do these things optimally on a daily basis, you're stuffing yourself. And
yeah.
everybody, certain cultures, they like stuffing birds, that holiday or holiday, um, of what they did to the Native Americans and what have you. I'm not even gonna call it. Some people call it indigenous. They've taken ownership of it now, call it Indigenous Remembrance Day and a number of other things. But they have the stuffed turkey. And every time you think about a stuffed turkey or a stuffed animal or stuffing, it's always in the abdominal cavity. They stuff the abdominal cavity and whatever they've hollowed out from removing the organs. They'll stuff all of that stuff in there. Now, this animal's dead. And if you're stuffing yourself with all of this stuff, just like the stuffing that they're putting in those animals, you're not going to have a high quality life. If you're eating processed food, Sister Shelby over here on Facebook, she said processed foods create processed people. And I'm going to add
Oh,
processed
deep.
people that can't even process their thoughts, because
No,
they are
no.
locked in to a process that is not their own, that is not natural. You
Mm.
want to be in the flow of nature and living a high quality, vibrant life in that regard. Yes. So,
Yes.
anything else you want to add, Aisha?
No, well, cook your own food. Be into working out. I never thought I would get to that point again, but I actually enjoy. I enjoy sweating. I feel my lymphatic system is like ooh ooh ooh. It's all happy. It's all happy with me and everything. And no, it really makes a huge difference. Honestly, the weight loss was not my focus, and once I started with the weight, stop with the weight, and stop being critical of myself and being gentle with myself, but
Mm-hmm.
being realistic with myself.
Mm-hmm.
uh, the way it was just melting off. Like I'm losing
Let
at
me
least three pounds a week,
let
three
me
to four
let me
pounds a
ask
week
you. Let me
at this
ask you.
point.
Let me ask you because I mentioned this, but you haven't stated it. So I want to ask you: have you had the mental shift from weight versus waste? The realization that when
Yes,
you use these tools to get the waste out of your body, the weight just goes away.
exactly. That I have had that mental shift, and it took taking it. It took the pandemic. Honestly, gave me some time. I'm not rushing to go off to work, sitting in traffic, not this, doing that. I actually had to sit and focus on what I was ingesting in my body. I did a lot of major cleanup with my life do, during the pandemic when I was working from home primarily. Um, I made myself ready. I
So
wasn't fearful of the issue that we just finished or
hmm
whatever it is now, but that's another story. Um, but no, it was a major cleanup in my life with
hmm
different bad poor habits that I had
let me
that
ask you
I
this.
really
So with the slowdown, you mentioned not having to go to work and sit in traffic and all of this stuff. This is part of the whole process also. Having time for yourself.
mhm,
When you work 9 hours and you got to travel 1 hour or 30 minutes or 2 hours or 4 hours commute round trip every single day that you go to work, 4 or 5 days out of the strong, then you don't have time for yourself.
no,
And this is part of
no,
modern life. You don't, that's why I like country living. You got to go out here and you got to get it with the soil and whatever. Farmers they don't have nothing but time for their life because their life is based around creating and building things that create and build life, i.e., food, crops, and so on. And so their life is full. It's a difference between having a full life that has time for yourself, even though a lot of farmers, depending upon how you're farming, don't feel they have time for themselves or don't take time for themselves. But the fact that they're in touch with nature on a regular basis, if it's a natural farming process, because there's a lot of unnatural farming processes out there, big up to permaculture and food forests and all of those kind of things, um, and backyard gardening more so than the industrialized farming. So when you're doing these things, you're having time for yourself and you are actually working. The meaning, the original term from my perspective, I didn't create it, but I'm a simple minded guy. Work out. Work out. People go inside to work out, which is kind of oxymoronic, because if you're outside and you're working, you are getting a workout. So the original workout is working outside in the garden, on the land, tending the land, whether it's the plant, the flora, the fauna, or whatever. You're outside and you're working, and that is work for you, because it's putting energy and into the earth, and which is going to feed you in turn. So this is work for self. This is time for self. So you've gotten back time for yourself, which is giving you the opportunity to get to that point of clarity, because now it's several days, several hours out of the day that are yours now,
Yes.
that weren't yours before, because you were, quote unquote, giving it to the job, you know, working on, getting resources, i.e., money. That's a whole nother thing, the whole thing of resources.
Yeah, that's
You know,
another thing.
so the thing is, be in control of as much as you can of your life. Take time for yourself, and that's what, like in the beginning I talked about readiness. That's one of the major stumbling blocks that keep people out of the space of readiness. They don't have time for themselves. They want to do, but they just don't have time for themselves. One of the main things is like, other than the money thing, is like, I ain't got time for that. You know, cook a whole meal. I got to stand up in the kitchen for 2 hours just chopping and instead of just, I can just order a pizza. Come on now. I'm just gonna order this pizza, Joe. I ain't got, you can go in there and cook something if you want to. Then you go and cook something and they'll be like, what's that? Pizza sitting over there turning the leather. It's like, can I have some of yours? Yeah. So, be kind to yourself. I like the fact that you said that as well. You learn to be kind to yourself. That's part of the process.
Yes, and it is. And you know what else I do, Aaron? When I pray a lot, and and the first thing in the morning I give thanks for being alive, and then I start thanking my individual organs. It's like a rhythm. It's like a thing that I do. I'm like, I thank you for my kidneys, thank you for my liver, thank you for my gallbladder, thank you for my pancreas, thank you for my lungs, thank you for my brain, my heart, everything, literally.
Man.
And it's so cheesy at first. At first, it was like, Aisha, this is weird. But no, I really am. I'm truly thankful that my systems are all working, because they can at any. You never know. You just never know.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. People talk about gratitude. Yeah, people talk about gratitude and they talk about affirmations. But let me say this: that what you just said, that is extremely powerful, because every part of your body has intelligence, and every part of your body has feelings. And anytime you are showing someone, an entity, gratitude and appreciation for being and doing, it's going to be uplifted. It's going to turn around, and if it can do something for you to show you to return the appreciation, it's going to do that. So along with that breath, increasing the oxygen and what have you, and the massage piece, you just added a whole nother layer of gratitude. You know, you know, I'm grateful for living and what have you, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've ever said thank you to each of my organs individually.
I'm not kidding. I've said
That's
this on a
awesome.
different live. It's major for me. And I've seen the whole shift in my whole everything. I'm not crazy, but it's not. It works.
How long have you been doing
Your
that?
chapter 4, 2 years, 2 years. Somebody suggested that I do that. I was having like, I was like, you know what? It's not gonna hurt. So 2 years I've been doing this
Hmm.
consistently.
Simple changes,
Yes.
major
Simple little
effect,
thing, little
major
thing.
effect.
And now I like exercising. I never thought. I'm just amazed. I'm really in a good place mentally because I am working out, and
Hmm.
I've cut some things out, and I'm really
And
happy.
some
And
people.
I'm not out there, playing games. Yeah. So
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah.
So I really, again, I know his time is winding down, but
Hmm. Let me
please
ask
get
you.
this book from him. It's a really good book. Go ahead.
You were about to say something about the book. What was that? You said something about chapter 4. I wrote something.
Bookmark. 1 second. Saliva and chewing. I want people because my goal is, that's one of my goals, and specifically I wanted to do endocrinology at first, but my main thing now is like I want to be a dentist because teeth we need to chew. You can't chew. If you only knew, if you only knew
I
what I've
know.
been going through with that
Oh,
with
not with
that
you,
teeth,
but people. Yeah.
but yes, but you gotta chew your food. It's
Hmm.
not gonna move out of your body if you're not chewing
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
It's not gonna come out. And so
Exactly.
that's our little tidbit I'll add to that. But that's chapter 4 is my favorite. Right before that, it says sugar. You talk about soft drinks and stuff. I have it all bookmarked. I have different parts of the other one are the soups, and then you go into the internal fitness series. And I
Hmm.
used to do that, and I used to do a lot of Queen Afua's movements too.
Hmm.
But I like your stuff because again, it ties into mental health as well.
Hmm.
The breathing can create a euphoric feeling for you. That's important. You want to feel good. That
Hmm.
helps you move trauma out of the body.
Yeah.
Just being real.
And a
So
lot of
yeah,
young ladies,
that's all I got to add.
yeah, a lot of young ladies experience anxiety with high stress levels and what have you. So that's one of the main things that I like to provide. And a quick plug: if anybody wants to get a recording of the sound of the breath, just the sound, you put on a headset, and it'll take you out of whatever you're dealing with. And if you want to get that, you can DM me. I'll send that to you. DM me your email address. I'm going to need your email address because I've tried to send it as an attachment in a social media post on Instagram and Facebook. Doesn't happen. If you want it, I have to send it directly to your email box. You can download it from there and whatever. So, um, wow, this has been
Yeah.
amazing. I didn't anticipate that we'd be going this long,
Yeah.
Aisha. Aisha.
I know.
Miss, Miss,
Aisha.
I'm so nervous and what have you. See,
Thank you so much for having me.
you're
You know
quite
I
welcome.
love
And
you.
thank you for
Anytime
coming on.
Trina, I said hello.
I will do that.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Please.
Eh,
And you take care, and we'll be in touch soon.
all righty then.
Bye,
Thank you.
whoever was watching. Thank you.
All right, we had 4 people, so consistently. All right, that was Miss Aisha.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. And if anybody else wants to ask a question, they want to come on briefly, either on Instagram or Facebook, because I got both these devices up here in front of me. Um, I don't see anything on the YouTube as far as potential questions and whatever. Or anybody. Matter of fact, there's no one on. Everybody's on either Facebook or Instagram, mostly Instagram. So anybody else that wants to ask a question, you know, then you go ahead and ask a question, and I'll answer it for you, depending upon whether I have the time and all of that good stuff. Okay, this was awesome. Thank you. So that picture guy, 22. I appreciate that. Life is awesome, bro. Okay, got a number of people. I don't know who's still on. If I can see this. Okay, okay. I see y'all. Men to you, a good brother. He's always in the house. Yeah. So I wanted to do something a little different today, other than just talk about the breath. Of course, still the certification is available. You know, the Breath Master series, the Breath Master certification is definitely different than the other breath work that you see out here. Now, I keep it simple, and I believe in being in a flow, in a natural flow of life, and what have you. So I'm not knocking any other breath work or any other type of modality. My premise is this: I want everybody to be as healthy as possible. So I take the layperson's approach to life and to everything that I do. You know, whatever I hear, whatever it is that somebody is sharing with me, I want to be able to use it if it's something that's for me. I don't want it to be so over the top that I can't put it into the flow of life. Like me and the good sister mentioned just now, you know, having time for yourself. So if there's something that's so grandiose and something that I don't have time for, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not a gym guy. I'm not a gym rat. You know, some people love going to the gym. You know, it feels good to them. I'm not that guy. But I do calisthenics. I do basic movement and what have you. And when I add the principle of Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, and all those other and martial arts, all those other movement meditations of linking the breath to movement, then I can get my exercise in throughout the course of the day. And when I realized that, I was like, this is so freaking simple. Anybody can do it. So I came up with all these different little exercises and what have you, natural movement. You know, y'all saw me doing the get ups, you know, the seated forward bend, whereas I use that same technique that we did earlier. As I exhale, engage in the abdominal core, I just lean forward, get into that modified fetal position from as I'm sitting and using, you know, the core, the abdomen to squeeze out more waste to massage my emotions and what have you. So I'm not as stressed as a lot of other folks are throughout the course of the day. So these are some simple things that are built into the Breath Master series and the Breath Master flow that make it so much easier for you to go through life. Now, if you catch me at some talk like Aisha did, you know, time and time again, you know, some things are repeated, of course, and then there's some new things, and then they there's opportunity to add these things to your flow in life, which is what she did, and to come back around from time to time. You know, if not with me, then somebody else. You know, I'm not saying that you got to do exactly what I do the way I do, and that's it. Do you? When I took and got my Kemetic yoga certification, I realized that I didn't want to do Kemetic yoga all the time. But there were some elements in it that I do now, still do all the time. So I just truncated down, and then I also learned that technique, the cleansing breath there, and then later on, you know, through working with this Taoist brother, um, I learned that I could master the breathing process, and the breath master technique was born. And from that, I just continued on, and I've expanded and expanded and expanded to the point now where I offer that certification. Whether you get certified or not, you need to make sure that you improve the quality of your breathing. The fullness of your lungs determines the fullness of your life. Some people got full bodies, but even though they have a full body, they're not getting a full breath because their body's full of other stuff because they're not massaging and squeezing that waste out of their body using the fullness of the breath. Yes, sir. Combining the breath with qigong, yes, and other forms and what have you. You know, those movement and what have you. You know, whatever's for you, whatever you feel comfortable with. That's the main thing. Because even though you know you may have a plethora of forms and what have you, you're not going to do everything all the time. You know, your good brother Bruce Lee. Now he studied, I don't know, untold number of martial arts because he wanted to get to the ultimate martial art. And he realized that he couldn't do all of that. I mean, Shaolin monks don't do everything that they learn. You know, there's going to be a subset of whatever you learn in life that's going to be part of your flow. That's what I've learned. I'll just truncate it down to that, distill it down to that. So within that, you're still breathing. So within your subset, you can add. A good brother said, you know, with the qigong forms as needed. You know, you do things as you need and as you feel in the moment, and you just maintain the flow. Because, like I said, the body's a perpetual motion machine. You got to keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. And in order to do that, you got to keep it breathing. In order, you got to keep it moving internally with the breath. So I just wanted to share these things with you guys today, and just add another layer. You know, we brought in the food piece. We talked about, we talked about the soup. We talked about smoothies. We talked about sprouts. We talked about um, sea moss. All of these things I talk about in my book, and depending upon what the area that I'm in, it'll be more expansive, or it'll be more focused. But ultimately, it's about the quality of life. And you can live a long life, but you don't want to live a long, unhealthy life, because a lot of people stay on ventilators and in hospital rooms and get umpteen surgeries and all this kind of stuff. That's that's not for me. That's not a good quality of life. I want to walk the earth. I want to plant some seeds and what have you. Speaking of that, let me talk about this whole gardening piece. Y'all see the plants behind me? These were outside. I bring them in the wintertime. Those that won't survive the winter up here in Maryland, right outside of the District of Columbia, just across the bridge from Virginia. I'm from South Florida. Now, if I was down home, all of these would still be outside. I'm home here, but my original home, South Florida. So, what you eat determines the quality of your life. How much you eat, when you eat, all of that stuff. You can go to my YouTube channel. I got a whole 30-day series I call Master Life Masterclass, and it's about food consumption and the way you flow through the course of the day, and things that you do. So within that, you just have to be consistent. That's the thing that proves out over time, consistency. And growing food, you eat every day, you need to be growing food every day. Even if you're not eating everything that you grow, or if you're eating other things besides what you grow, if you can't grow enough because of seasonal circumstance and what have you, I became frustrated with this whole thing of winter up here. I can't grow stuff inside, food items and what have you. So recently I bought this thing. I haven't set it up yet. I mean, I set it up, but I haven't set it up. I don't have the soil and the plants in it yet, but that's coming. And I actually ordered several more of them because you need to be able to grow indoors. I don't care where you are, even if you're in Florida. A lot of people have ornamental plants inside. You can have an ornamental tangerine tree, indoors. Of course, greens and all these other things. And there's so many little other little ways. I cut the top off of some beets recently, and I put that top into water. It's upstairs. I'm not going to run up and be away from the camera the time it would take. But it's got a bunch of leaves on it. And the leaves about yay tall. So it's a good, 2-3 inches. They're small, but it's a bunch of them. And I'm going to transplant that outside and grow me some beets. Or I'll transplant it in a little plant tower I just showed you. Some of the stuff is growing in there. I got some other plants over here and whatever that I've started that I'm going to take outside. Some bell peppers, the African horn melon, or as I call it, as a cucumber. The velvet bean, green bean, all of these kind of things. I'll be putting those outside. So grow your own food. Grow your own food. We got this thing, food desert, where they're denying people food in certain regions. They don't have grocery stores in certain areas or what have you. what I say, if you got a park you some seeds in that park that stuff grow. If there's grass growing, there's trees growing, there's shrubs. Some of them can be food crops. Some of them can be food crops. You can get you a blueberry bush, put it in the park. You can get you some cucumber plants, put it in the park. Get you some watermelon seeds. Excuse me. A lot of people will eat a watermelon and spit the seeds out. Excuse me. Let me get some water here. Pardon me real quick. Yeah, I'm drinking by the jug. That's that good spring water I get from down La Plata Road down near my good brother Uncle Nate. Down 488, I think it's called. I think it is. Yeah, 488, La Plata Road. You can go down there and get you some water if you're in the area. Yeah, so any seed that you have, like your sister mentioned that she got some seeds and stuff and she's gonna start planting. If you eat oranges, if you eat apples, if you're in the kitchen and you cut bell peppers, you got seeds. If you got dry beans, I talked about it earlier, that you soak, you got seeds. All you got to do is put them in the soil. And if you want to make sure that your soil, your seed is viable, soak it in some water for 8 hours and then take it out and let it sit covered with a little moisture. You can put a paper towel, a napkin, or whatever over top of it, and it will start to germinate and it will sprout. Then you can put it in this soil. Grow you some stuff. I'm doing this thing called seed balls where I take some, you can use clay, soil, whatever you can compact into a little ball. I'm using pulp and fiber from the stuff that I juice. And I roll it into a ball around a seed, and I'm throwing seeds everywhere. So you all can do that. We can turn this whole place back to a garden. If you're living in what's called a food desert, and they're even actually regreening deserts where they're taking seed balls and they're dropping millions of them and just letting nature take its course. Something I'm doing that I thought about that I'm going to do in my garden beds that I want to be perennial and take advantage of this food forest piece. All of the foods, all of the things that I grow, now I'm going to take some of the fruit and instead of harvesting the seeds, I'm going to cut them into pieces and I'm going to put the seeds in the soil at the end of the season. I'm going to put pieces of the fruit in the soil with the seeds at the end of the season. Because what I've discovered, what I've noticed is that every year your seasonal plants that drop seed come back the next year. So they don't wait till the season starts to plant the seed. They plant the seed, their own seed, at the end of the season, and those seeds stay dormant underground until they get whatever temperature signal that it's time to germinate and to grow. Because I inadvertently started with watermelons because I've spit watermelon seeds. I'm sitting out on the porch. I'm spitting seeds out on the ground, and I'm up here in Maryland, right? Those seeds didn't grow right away. That was like what, end of summer, end of watermelon season. You're talking about September, August, October. I'm spitting seeds out on the ground. 5-6 months later, in March, April the following year, those same seeds found their natural cycle and they started to grow. I didn't go out and plant seeds in April. I spent those seeds on the ground 6 months before. So I'm going to start putting seeds back into the soil at the end of the growing season, at harvest time, and let nature do what it does and see what comes up the following year. I didn't do that this year, but I will be doing that in the future. And that's going to be my way of starting my garden and keeping it going perpetually. So it's a lot of harmonizing things that we can do with nature that will allow us to experience the abundance of nature. One of my other mantras is the abundance of nature is the nature of abundance. So when you align with that, when you participate in that process, when I put 1,000 seeds out there from the plants and the fruit that I have this year, a number of those things are going to come up next year, and I'm not going to have to plant as many. I'm still going to plant a bunch of stuff. Man, what I planted out back just now, I'm going to do a post on that. You got to plant some food. Plant some food, plant some food, plant some food, grow some food, grow some food, grow some food, eat some food. Food fuels and oxygenates optimally daily. I think I done said enough today. I'm going to get off of here. I'll let you guys have a rest and have back the rest of your day. This is Breath Master Aaron Motley, your global community elder, signing off. Thank you for showing up, mainly for yourself. Peace out.